Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav with the evening news. The headlines. Former President Pranab Mukherjee passes away. Nation mourns the loss of seasoned statesman. President, Vice President and Prime Minister express grief on demise of the veteran leader. Government declares 7-day state mourning as a mark of respect to the departed leader. Health Ministry decides to depute central teams to 4 states that are seeing sudden surge in COVID cases and COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 76.61%. Former President of India and Bharat Ratna awardee Pranab Mukherjee passed away at the age of 84 after battling a long illness. The veteran leader breathed his last at Army Hospital in New Delhi this evening. His son Abhijit Mukherjee took to Twitter and made the announcement. The medical condition of the former president declined yesterday after he went in septic shock due to lung infection. He was admitted to the hospital on 10th of this month and was operated for removal of a clot in the brain. Nation is mourning the loss of the seasoned statesman. Pranab Mukherjee served as the 13th President of India from 2012 to 2017. Here is a tribute.
A man of humble origins, Pranab Mukherjee was born in a small village Mirati in Birbhum district of West Bengal as son of freedom fighters Kamda Kinkar Mukherjee and Rajalakshmi. He acquired a master's degree in history and political science as well as a degree in law from the University of Kolkata. He then embarked on his professional life as a college teacher and journalist. Inspired by his father's contribution to the national movement, Mr. Mukherjee in 1969 plunged into full-time public life following his election to Upper House of the Parliament. Under the mentoring of late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, Mr. Mukherjee's rise in his political career was rapid. He served as Union Minister of Finance, Defence, External Affairs and Commerce. Mr. Mukherjee was also Deputy Chairman of Planning Commission. He was elected to Rajya Sabha 5 times and twice to Lok Sabha. Mr. Mukherjee served as leader of both houses of Parliament. He had extensive diplomatic experience and served on the Board of Governors of the IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank and African Development Bank. Mr. Mukherjee was instrumental in spearheading critical decisions of the government on a range of issues such as administrative reforms, right to information, right to employment, food security, energy security, information technology and telecommunication, and setting up UIDAI. He was a member of the Congress Working Committee, the highest policy-making body of the party for a period of 23 years.
President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have expressed grief on the demise of the veteran leader. President Kovind said the demise of Pranab Mukherjee is passing off an era. Mr. Kovind said, a colossus in public life, the former president served Mother India with the spirit of a sage. President Kovind said the nation mourns losing one of its worthiest sons. He said endowed with the perspicacity and wisdom, Bharat Ratna awardee combined tradition and modernity. In his 5-decade-long illustrious public life, he remained rooted to the ground irrespective of the exalted offices he held. He endeared himself to the people across the political spectrum. Mr. Kovind said, as the first citizen, Pranab Mukherjee continued to connect with everyone, bringing Rashtrapati Bhavan closer to the people. He opened its gates for the public visit. Mr. Kovind described the veteran leader's decision to discontinue the use of the honorific His Excellency as historic. Vice President said the country has lost an elder statesman in Pranab Mukherjee's death. He rose from humble beginnings to occupy the country's highest constitutional position through hard work, discipline and dedication. Mr. Naidu said Pranab Mukherjee brought dignity and decorum to every post held by him during his long and distinguished public service. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Pranab Mukherjee has left an indelible mark on the development trajectory of the nation. A scholar par excellence, a towering statesman, Pranab Mukherjee was admired across the political spectrum and by all sections of society. Mr. Modi recalled that during his political career that spanned decades, Pranab Mukherjee made long-lasting contributions in key economic and strategic ministries. He was an outstanding parliamentarian, always well-prepared, extremely articulate, as well as witty. The Prime Minister said Pranab Mukherjee's wise counsel on key policy matters will never be forgotten. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla said Pranab Mukherjee, in his more than 5-decade-long public life, served the nation with exemplary dedication. He said Mukherjee's experience in parliamentary and administrative matters was unmatched, a quality which manifested itself in his extraordinary work ethic.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha conveyed his heartfelt condolences on the sad demise of former President. Describing him as a statesman par excellence and a wonderful human being, the Lieutenant Governor observed that the Pranab Mukherjee era will always be remembered as an astute administration era who created benchmarks with his high standards of work. As a mark of respect to former President Pranab Mukherjee, a 7-day state mourning will be observed throughout India from today till the 6th of September. During the period of state mourning, the national flag will fly at half-mast on all buildings throughout India, where it is flown regularly, and there will be no official entertainment. Several political leaders and prominent people from all walks of life mourned the political stalwart. In a tweet, Home Minister Amit Shah said, "The former president was a vastly experienced leader who served the nation with the utmost devotion." Mr. Shah said Pranab Da's life will always be cherished for his impeccable service and indelible contribution to our motherland. The Home Minister said his demise has left a huge void in Indian polity. Expressing grief, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said, "Pranab Da epitomized simplicity, honesty and strength of character, and he served the country with diligence and dedication." Mr. Singh said Pranab Mukherjee's demise is a personal loss. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said, "Today, the country has lost one of its finest sons, Bharat Ratna, Pranab Mukherjee." Mr. Javadekar said no one on one of the occasions when Pranab Mukherjee was the chief guest for the Teachers' Day ceremony in Vigyan Bhavan, he gave him a slate as a gift and he liked it very much.
He was not only intellectual but a doer, decision maker, a strategist, and also he was one of the backbone in Parliament for years together. He has left mark on administration and governance, and as the President of India, he has performed with clear understanding and with dignity. As President, he delivered many convocation addresses in various universities throughout the country.
Expressing sadness on the demise of former President Pranab Mukherjee, BJP President JP Nadda said, "A statesman, Mukherjee served the country in many roles with diligence and determination, and he is widely admired across the parties for his intellect and perseverance." Senior Congress leader Rahul Gandhi said, "With great sadness, the nation receives the news of the unfortunate demise of former President." Mr. Gandhi said he joins the country in paying homage to him. World leaders have also expressed grief on the demise of former President Pranab Mukherjee. Nepal Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli said, in his demise, the Himalayan nation has lost a great friend. He said people of Nepal remembers his contributions in strengthening Nepal-India relations in different capacities of his public life. Mr. Oli expressed heartfelt condolences to the government and people of India, as well as the bereaved family members. Sri Lanka Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said, Pranab Mukherjee was a statesman par excellence, a writer and a man loved by all. He said the passion with which he served his nation is unparalleled.
The Union government today said that the COVID-19 recovery rate in the country has reached 76.61%. Around 60,868 people recovered from the infection during the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has reached over 27,74,000 so far. The ministry said the last 5 lakh recoveries have been recorded in only 8 days. The constantly increasing recoveries have ensured reduction in the actual caseload of the country, and it now comprises only 21.60% of the total positive cases. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.79%, which is one of the lowest globally. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, over 8,46,000 tests were conducted during the last 24 hours. The total number of samples tested so far have gone up to over 4,23 lakhs. Health Ministry has decided to depute high-level central teams to Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha. These 4 states are seeing a sudden surge in COVID cases, and some of them are also reporting high mortality. The teams will support the state efforts towards strengthening containment, surveillance, testing and efficient clinical management of the positive cases. They will also guide the states in effectively managing the challenges related to timely diagnosis and follow-up. Each of the multi-sectoral teams will comprise of an epidemiologist and a public health expert. As an ongoing effort, the central government has been deputing central teams from time to time to visit various states to interact with the authorities and get a first-hand understanding of the challenges and issues being faced by them.
Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan and Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa today digitally dedicated to the nation the Super Speciality Trauma Center in Vijayanagar Institute of Medical Sciences at Ballari. The center is built with an investment of 150 crore rupees under the Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. It has departments of emergency and trauma, neurosurgery and orthopedics. This new block has 8 operation theatres, including 6 modular ones, 200 super speciality beds, 72 ICU beds, 20 ventilators and state-of-the-art CT scan and digital X-ray machines. This facility will have a training capacity of 27 PG students. Dr. Harshvardhan informed that a new aims for Karnataka is under active consideration. He reaffirmed the commitment of the government to operationalize 1.5 lakh Ayushman Bharat health and wellness centers by 31st December. He also spoke about the government's commitment to eradicate TB, smallpox and polio 5 years before the global deadline in 2025. Our Bengaluru correspondent has filed this report.
The Chief Minister has said that this will bring relief to the people in North Karnataka who had to come to Bengaluru for trauma care. He requested the Union Minister to permit construction of another trauma care center in Gulbarga. The Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar has said that the trauma block inaugurated in Ballari today will benefit people in northwest districts in the state. He informed the Union Minister that the state will set up 4 new medical colleges by next year. The 200-bed trauma center inaugurated today has 72 ICU beds, 20 ventilators, CT scan, digital X-ray facilities offering emergency, trauma care, neurosurgery and orthopedic services. It was constructed at a cost of 150 crore rupees. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Meanwhile, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the state has risen to over 3,35,000. Over 2,42,000 people have been discharged after recovery, marking a recovery rate of 72.1%. According to data released, with 5,589 deaths due to COVID, the case fatality rate in the state stands at 1.7%.
The Tamil Nadu government has issued a series of orders specifying the details of the relaxations under the Unlock 4. The state government has kept the cap of maximum number of people attending a marriage function unchanged in September at 50. Sanitization and cleaning works are being undertaken extensively in various temples across the state as a prelude to their reopening tomorrow after almost a 3-month interval following COVID-19 pandemic. Major temples like Madurai Meenakshi, Trichy Malai Kottai and Suchindram are being thoroughly sanitized using modern sanitizers. Steps are being also taken to ensure enough facilities for devotees to fulfill various parameters of social distancing. Meanwhile, the total number of COVID-19 cases in Tamil Nadu has crossed 4,28,000 with 5,956 people tested positive today. More from our correspondent.
As per the new orders, parks would be out of bounds for elders above 65 years of age, pregnant women and children. Religious places are asked to remain open till 8 p.m. only and to follow the restrictions on the ceiling on the number of people permissible at a time. Hotels are mandated to allow only those without any symptoms for COVID-19. In shopping malls, 6 feet distance is to be maintained by people from each other. Government and private offices can function in full strength by following the standard operating procedures. Inter-district travel by public transport remains blocked, though buses can be operated within the districts. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
Lucknow Metro is all set to start its services from the 7th of September, and unlike Delhi, tokens will be issued for journey in metro trains and all the tokens will be sanitized with a UV system. In an exclusive interview with AIR, Chairman of Uttar Pradesh Metro Rail Corporation Kumar Keshav said that there will be special seating arrangements inside the metro trains and yellow markings will be on the platforms and ticketing area so that social distancing is maintained. He said every train and all station premises will be sanitized at night time, while there will be special sanitization drives during daytime as well. Mr. Kumar Keshav said that the whole fleet of metro trains will come on track from the very first day and passengers will not have to face any delays in getting to the trains. Special arrangements of sanitizers will be there on the platforms and awareness campaigns will also be launched for the passengers so that contactless travel can be possible.
हैंड सैनिटाइजर हमारे गेट्स पे हैं, हमारे स्टाफ हैं, लोगों को सैनिटाइज करेंगे, उनका टेम्परेचर हम रिकॉर्ड करेंगे, अगर उनके मोबाइल ऐप में आरोग्य सेतु है तो उसका स्टेटस चेक करेंगे, अगर वो ग्रीन के अलावा कुछ भी और है तो उनको रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि आप ना ट्रैवल करें, किसी का टेम्परेचर बढ़ा हुआ है तो उसको रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि आप ना ट्रैवल करें। ये सब प्रिकॉशंस हम ले रहे हैं। और जो हैंड सैनिटाइजर जो बॉटल्स में है, इक्विपमेंट्स में है, वो हमारे टिकटिंग गेट्स के पास है, हमारे AFC गेट्स के पास है जहां से हम एंटर करते हैं।
Recovery rate of COVID patients in Rajasthan has reached 81%, with 645 new cases reported today in the state. The total number of corona-infected people has gone up to 80,872. Health Minister Dr. Raghu Sharma has said that the recovery rate of the state is higher, while the positivity rate is lower than the other states.
With 3,918 active cases, capital Jaipur is at the top in terms of active patients. The fatality rate in the state is 1.29%, while it is 2.58% in Jaipur. After Transport Minister Pratap Singh Khandelwal, some more MLAs have been found infected. Congress MLA Ramesh Meena, BJP MLAs Hamir Singh and Chandrabhan Singh Akya have been tested positive for COVID-19. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has made an appeal to all MPs and MLAs to get corona testing done. Meanwhile, the state government has decided not to allow more than 50 people in social, cultural and political programs. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
In Meghalaya, 26 fresh COVID-19 cases were detected today, bringing the total number of confirmed cases in the state to 2,368. The total active cases stands at 1,196, while 113 people have been recovered and 10 people lost their lives. In Mizoram, the 6th session of the State Legislative Assembly will begin tomorrow. In this session, the state government will lay a few bills before the House. However, there will be no governor's address on the opening day. Meanwhile, all 40 legislators of the State Assembly, including Chief Minister Zoramthanga, Speaker Lal Rinliana Sailo and ministers tested negative for COVID-19.
The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, has extended the ban on scheduled international commercial flight operations till the 30th of September. In a circular issued today, DGCA said the restrictions shall not apply to international all-cargo operations and flights specifically approved by it. The aviation regulator said, however, the international scheduled flights may be allowed on selected routes by the competent authority on case-to-case basis. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Former President Pranab Mukherjee passes away. Nation mourns the loss of seasoned statesman. President, Vice President and Prime Minister express grief on demise of the veteran leader. Government declares 7-day state mourning as a mark of respect to the departed leader. Health Ministry decides to depute central teams to 4 states that are seeing a sudden surge in the COVID cases, and COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 76.61%. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
A brigade commander level flag meeting between Indian Army and People's Liberation Army PLA of China is in progress at Chushul. The meeting is being held to discuss the PLA troops' provocative military movements. Indian Army today said that PLA troops violated the previous consensus arrived at during military and diplomatic engagements during the ongoing standoff in eastern Ladakh. Chinese troops carried out provocative military movements to change the status quo in the intervening night of 29th and 30th of this month. However, Indian troops preempted this activity on the southern bank of Pangong Tso Lake. Army undertook measures to strengthen its position to thwart Chinese intentions to unilaterally change facts on ground. The Indian Army said it is committed to maintaining peace and tranquility through dialogue, but is also equally determined to protect its territorial integrity. Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises MSMEs Minister Nitin Gadkari today inaugurated Technology Centre at Bhiwadi in Alwar district of Rajasthan through video conferencing. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Gadkari said manufacturing sector contributes around 22 to 24% of the GDP of the country. He said in wake of Atmanirbhar Bharat call of Prime Minister, the government is establishing 15 new technology centers and upgrading existing 18 centers to create skilled human resources. He added that skilled manpower is must to make India a manufacturing hub.
Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat today held discussions with Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu for the implementation of Jal Jeevan Mission in the state. The mission aims to improve the lives of rural people by providing safe drinking water to every rural household through household tap connections by 2024. Arunachal Pradesh is planning 100% tap connections to all the households of the state by the year 2023. During the meeting with Mr. Khandu, the Jal Shakti Minister stressed on retrofitting and augmentation of existing water supply schemes. Out of 2.17 lakh households, only 43,244 houses in the state have tap connections. Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister, Mr. Pema Khandu, assured of expeditious implementation of the mission in the state so as to achieve the target of providing household tap connections in rural areas in a time-bound manner. In our series on Atmanirbhar Bharat today, we bring you a special story on MedBot. During Corona crisis, apart from providing transport facilities and essential items like food grains to people, the Indian Railways has also provided facilities for COVID-19 patients. It has developed a remote-controlled medical trolley named MedBot to help deliver food and medicines to COVID-19 patients. It is providing services in the central hospital of the diesel rail engine factory of the Indian Railways.
In order to achieve its objective of becoming 100% self-sustainable for all its power needs, Indian Railways has solarized more than 960 stations till date. Orders have been placed for 198 megawatt solar rooftop capacity for 550 stations, which are under execution. This will contribute to national solar power needs. Some of the stations solarized are Varanasi, New Delhi, Old Delhi, Jaipur, Sikandrabad, Kolkata, Guwahati, Hyderabad and Howrah. Railways had recently organized a meet of leading solar power developers who had shared their expectations of being partners in the journey of Indian Railways to become net zero carbon emitter before 2030. Chief Economic Advisor K.V. Subramanian has said April to June GDP contraction is mainly due to exogenous shock felt globally due to COVID pandemic. He said it is along expected lines and better performance is expected in coming quarters. Mr. Subramanian said agri sector is one sector that has grown and it is reflecting reform impact.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has asked the Union government to pay the GST compensation to the states by raising the required funds as a loan by itself. In a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi today, Chief Minister Palaniswamy asked the centre not to reduce the permitted additional borrowings by the states by 2% of the state GDP under the Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package. In the letter, Mr. Palaniswamy insisted that the centre's suggestion made in the recent GST Council meeting for the states to borrow from the market to make good the shortfall in the compensation is administratively difficult and more expensive. He mentioned that the suggestion for the states to borrow for what is essentially the centre's obligation does not appear to be a strong or valid reason. The Enforcement Directorate, ED, has arrested suspended Aam Aadmi Party AAP councillor Tahir Hussain under the provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act PMLA. Tahir Hussain has been arrested by the agency in connection with the ongoing PMLA investigation into his role in money laundering and funding of anti-CAA protests and organizing riots in northeast Delhi during February this year. The ED has secured 6 days custodial remand.
The Central Bureau of Investigation team is questioning actress Rhea Chakraborty, the prime accused in actor Sushant Singh Rajput's death case at the DRDO guest house in Mumbai on the 4th consecutive day today. Rajput was found hanging in his flat in suburban Bandra on 14th of June. Along with 28-year-old actress, her brother Shobik Chakraborty, Rajput's cook Neeraj Singh also reached the guest house in the morning. In Gujarat, 38,167 students will appear in JEE NEET exams in 13 districts. This was announced by the State Education Minister Bhupendra Singh Chudasama today. He said that a meeting in this regard was held through video conferencing with 13 district collectors of the state. Mr. Chudasama said that the state has already conducted good set examinations and supplementary examinations of class 10th and 12th successfully in recent times. Similarly, JEE NEET exams will also conclude smoothly. He said that social distancing and mask wearing is compulsory.
Maharashtra BJP leader Ashish Shelar has written to State Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to approach the Ministry of Railways to allow students appearing for JEE and NEET exams in Mumbai to travel by suburban trains. In the letter, Mr. Shelar said that over 3 lakh students from the state are appearing for the exam, which begins tomorrow. Our correspondent has filed this report.
In a letter returned to Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, State BJP leader Ashish Shelar said he has spoken to Union Railway Minister Piyush Goyal, who has shown his willingness to positively take up the matter if the state government approaches. He therefore urged the state government to approach the Union Railway Ministry to allow students appearing for JEE and NEET exams with valid admit cards to travel on Mumbai suburban trains. He further said that this will benefit over 50,000 students residing in Mumbai and its nearby areas to reach for the exams safely and on time. Currently, only certain categories of essential service workers are allowed to travel on the local trains. Sweetie Jain, AR News, Mumbai.
In Gujarat, 2 persons lost their lives and 2 others were reportedly missing after drowning in floodwaters in Botad district. The incessant rain continued to lash the different parts of the state since last 2 days. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that the State Chief Secretary Anil Mukim reviewed the situation in the state in a meeting held at Gandhinagar this evening.
According to official sources, 13 teams of NDRF and 2 teams of SDRF have been deployed in flood-affected districts of Saurashtra and South Gujarat. NDRF had rescued 20 persons in Bharuch district, while 57 persons rescued from Amreli, Junagadh, Rajkot and Vadodara districts. After the review meeting this evening, the State Chief Secretary Anil Mukim said that the flood situation is completely under control. He said that rain activities will decrease in coming days. He said that authorities have been asked to restore the power supply in 30 villages which was disrupted due to heavy rain and flood. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
Now, let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will witness generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. It will have a minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 34 degrees. Mumbai will experience generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The minimum temperature will be 25 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 29 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Kolkata will witness partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 23 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be around 16 degrees, while the maximum will be 29 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Ladakh will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 12 and 22 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 15 and 29 degrees Celsius. It will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 18 and 34 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 24 and 33 degrees Celsius. The city will experience thunderstorm with rain. In Chandigarh, there will be generally cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder or lightning. The minimum temperature will be 27 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 34 degrees. And now, before we close, the headlines once again. Former President Pranab Mukherjee passes away. Nation mourns the loss of seasoned statesman. President, Vice President and Prime Minister express grief on demise of the veteran leader. Government declares 7-day state mourning as a mark of respect to the departed leader. Health Ministry decides to depute central teams to 4 states that are seeing sudden surge in COVID cases, and COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 76.61%. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.